2010. Kom ons sê, 50 jaar terug. I can't always remember all the dates, but there was a season where Abba asked us to give away everything. And I've shared it before. Where we gave away everything, the children, we gave away. And we lived in a small furnished apartment for 18 months. But today, looking back at the fullness of what I was bringing with for Lady Rose next season, those 18 months, I was started dealing with my soul. I was broken. When Abba got me, there was nothing left of me. And at that stage, we were already saved, whatever, 10 years. We were saved for a very long time already. And so we gave away everything. And that test in the end of the day was that of the rich young man. That we give everything, we do everything, but are you truly willing to give up everything? And in that time, we gave up everything, and I started dealing with my soul and the wounds that I carried. He dealt with it. Yes, we can go for counseling, we can go for all of that, but there's nothing that heals the soul like His presence, His blood, and His word. It was out of that season where I wrote Purified 7 times over. It took me 5 years to write that book. And that book is all about the healing from the inside out. That healing of a broken soul. So I was this broken vessel, and ek wil vir julle sê, no one escapes that. Every child, when Abba started sharing with me about the brokenness of our soul, every child that is born comes with a whole soul. Comes with a whole body, except now for generational curses and children that are born sick and all of that. But most of us are born with a whole body and a whole soul. The moment that child is born, so remember, we're in heaven and Abba calls us and He says, will you go? Hulle raak altyd vir my, vertel ek hulle die storie. Michaela, Justin, Kirsten, will you go? This is your mandate, this is your scroll. Will you go? And then, because Yeshua, if you read about it, Abba first asked him, will you go? So He calls us, will you go? So He sends this innocent soul in a body form to earth with a mandate. He chooses your parents. He knows what you're going to step into. He knows you're going to get hurt. He knows you're going to be broken. He knows. He knows. So in your journey of seeking the ancient paths in His perfect will, He will send destiny helpers. Because out of your brokenness, you gain authority, and out of that brokenness, when you become whole, you have authority over what you've overcome. So this baby is born, and what happens? Immediately the enemy recognized that this one, like Yeshua, like Moses, they wanted to kill the children when they were born. This one's going to shake my kingdom. And what does he do? He tries to destroy the soul. He tries to inflict trauma, wounds in the soul area. En ons gaan dit mooi verduidelik vandag. Because if he can inflict that, like with Adam and Eve, that's where he's got legal right to steal from you continuously. And in that part is where the bride is still broken. I was broken when Abba got me, and in that 18 months when He asked us to give away everything, He started working with my soul. To a point where at days I will sit on my bed where the only way that you are healed is when you face the pain. We cannot say, I'm okay, but there's still reactions, wat ons nou oor gaan praat nie, is to face that pain that was inflicted. And when you can speak about it, is when you're healed. When you can testify about it, is when you're healed. There's no one in this room, kan ek vra, that's never got hurt. Is daar iemand? No one. Because it's the enemy's plan to destroy the soul from the beginning, but Abba made another plan. He knows the beginning from the end. He knows the day from you were born until the day that you're going to die. He knows that He's going to start working and calling you. He also knows that there are some that won't respond. He knows that. So each and every one of you sits here with a mandate that's engraved in your DNA. It's there. You've got a purpose. You're not here on earth. Want die eerste ding wat die vyand kom probeer sê is, you don't have purpose. And then he inflicts pain. And we're going to pray for that today. So in that journey, I was sitting on the bed one day, and I had to face pain from birth. I wasn't born into a saved home. And I also want to say that it does not mean that when your parents are saved, that your children will not experience pain and soul wounds, en ek kan dit getuig. The enemy will do everything. We homeschool our children. They're not perfect. They've gone through many things. They're not perfect. We're not perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect family. There's no such thing as that. People will look at us and think we're this perfect family. First of all, we're a whole family, but it doesn't mean that we don't go through things and that our children don't face certain things. There's things in the lives of your children, even if you're saved and whole, that they have to overcome on their own. You can't overcome it for them, but we can be the safety net that catches them. And it's the most difficult thing for someone that is whole to see what your child goes through. It's difficult. And you can't help them except to pray. So, I daai plek het wil ek sê, don't judge each other. Don't put us or people on a pedestal. Nobody is perfect. There's nobody in this room that has never ever faced pain. Nobody. Nobody. So in that season, Abba took me on this journey of the healing of my soul, and I never realized how broken I was. I didn't speak, believe it or not, I didn't speak. If you wanted to give me a mic, I got sick. Really, I really got sick because of soul wounds. And the enemy knew if he could silence me, then his kingdom won't be shaken. Because in my DNA, in my scroll, it was written that I will train the bride. So what did he do? He tried to stop me from speaking by inflicting wounds and pain. So in that journey, I was sitting on the bed one day, and it was Abba and I in the Word. He never allowed me to go to a counselor. He never allowed us to enter Bible school. It was always the Word and His presence. Always. And I want to encourage you, it can be the same for you. Yes, we have destiny helpers. That at times when it gets too much, you say, please pray for us. Or you don't even have to ask, you'll just send them. And in that moment, they will just impart something that will bring healing and deliverance. So I sat on the bed one day and I was crying because of words and things that I had to go to every wound inflicted. And what Abba did was, I didn't know what soul wounds were. He taught me on my own journey. And then I will face this pain. I will feel this pain. I will see this pain from birth until that I think I was 33. Kan nie meer onthou nie. 50 years ago. And I sat on the bed and I cried. I said, Abba, hoeveel nog? I can't anymore. I can't anymore. And then he said to me that day, just don't get out of the fire. In the bluest flame of the fire, then it gets worse. If you get out now, you're going to have to start all over again. So when it gets so intense and it feels like you cannot face this pain anymore, it's when he's working at the deepest level. And just before we came out of that season of healing and restoration, because only we were in ministry, training under another ministry, but only after that season, Abba released our ministry, Lady Rose and Barachta Meet and the books and the magazine and all that stuff that was our first phase of the ministry for 7 years. Only after that. And then he started showing me, you cannot use the bride in her fullness if she's broken. So I sat on the bed that day and I said, Abba, how much more? I can't take it. And he said, just don't get out. Just don't get out. And he gave me a vision where I was standing on a cliff because it felt like I'm at the end of myself. I can't anymore. And I was standing on this cliff, and in the distance, a magazine came closer, not Lady Rose, with Quentin and I's faces on the front cover of this magazine, and the word slander written all over it. And he said to me, I'm preparing you to withstand this. And then I knew, later on, I realized it's persecution and lies and backstabbing and gossip. If you're not whole, you will not be able to withstand persecution. You're gonna fall. If there's rejection, if there's any of that, you will not be able, because you're gonna doubt who you are. But if you know you are and you are whole, you'll be able to resist that. To know that if I'm in right standing with Him, it doesn't matter what the world says, because the enemy will use that. He will use the media, will use people, he will use that to try and silence you. So that was the first one. Then just before Abba took us out of that season into ministry, I had a dream where I was amongst a whole lot of people And they all had different colored robes on. We all had robes on, but my robe was white. And there was this fire in this dream that we all had to walk through. And in this dream, Yeshua was with me. And in this dream, everybody told me, you don't have the right robe on. And I started doubting, and he said to me, don't listen to them. Walk around the fire. They must still go through. When you are whole in your soul, don't let the enemy come and tell you, and that's what's happening with us, that you still need to search for wounds here. Because he will keep you in self by doing that. So every time people will come and whatever, then I know I'm whole. I am whole. I'm not prideful. I'm whole. I'm not going to go through that mountain again or around that mountain again. And that's when he started, because you can get stuck there. You can get stuck in that place. But from that place you have to move on into fullness, into glory, don't get stuck in that place of healing, purification, sanctification. When it's done, it's done. And then you move on. Because then it's from glory to glory. And that's when he started speaking to me also later on about the body. So what do? Now there's sickness, like they say, or there's a cold. Or we immediately look internally, because that's what I did before he gave me that dream. We look internally. But it wasn't an internal thing anymore, it was external. Remember, flus or headaches is not always a soul condition. If you are whole, you are whole. It's not a soul condition, it's external. But we can become so internally focused that I can also become a type of a God, as ek dit so kan sê. So you go through phases from glory to glory all the time. Don't get stuck in a certain place. If you know that you are whole, then move on. Yes, the enemy will try. En ek gaan nou vir julle verduidelik hoe dit werk. But it will come externally. It's not internally anymore. Maak dit vir julle sin? So there are many of you that are whole. But you are stuck in that place. En ons gaan bid vandag vir dit. You are stuck in that place of self, of okay, ek is nou verkouerig, of ek het nou offense gevat, so not everything is because of a soul wound. Sometimes you have to look externally. Sometimes you might have watched the wrong movie, or ate the wrong food in your tummy pains, or whatever. You have to look externally as well, to the body and how we treat the body, and work on your immune system and all that. So when Abba started working with me on soul wounds, so jy het my tyd ook, nie? As ons so 20 minute oor het, dat ons kan bid. Okay. So when Abba started working with me on soul wounds, like I said, I was broken. Name it, mention it, it happened to me. Verstaan, the enemy really went out there. I know I had a grandmother that prayed, but I wasn't in a family, in a safe home for that extra prayer covering. And in that journey of writing Purified, because after that journey I started writing the book, Purified 7 times over. And nothing in your soul can be made whole but through the blood. Nothing. You cannot deal with a wound if you don't understand the blood. And while writing the book, Abba gave me a vision once and explained to me what soul wounds, how it works. And in this vision or dream, I was in the heavenlies, in the second heavens, and I was dressed in this blood red dress. And when I look at this dress, it was alive. It was the blood of Yeshua. It was alive. But when I looked closer, there was wounds inside of me, inside this dress. There was wounds. And the enemy was standing opposite me, and he had this sword in his hands, and he will come and he will push the sword into this wound. And immediately I will retract because of the pain and take a step back, and he'd gain territory and I gave up territory. And Abba showed me that's what soul wounds does. He only has legal right over the wounds that you carry. That's the only place that he has legal right in, is the wounds that we carry. So he will continuously trigger that wound in you. You will take offense, or we'll go through all of that now. That's how soul wounds work. Trauma, all those type of things. It's a wound inflicted in your soul. So now we from the Garden of Eden, that we were whole beings, or Adam and Eve was a whole being. So he caused them to eat the fruit in the body. A wound was inflicted in the soul because of rejection. They felt rejected by God, which he didn't do. Abba did not reject them out of the garden. It was the enemy that caused the body to sin, that inflicted a wound, and because of that, rejection came in. The enemy is the one who kills, steals, and destroys. And you can be or you can have the best of parents. You can have parents with the best intention. I promise you, somewhere along the line, the enemy will make sure that rejection is inflicted. Whether it is in a school system, friends, words of someone, however, he will try to get rejection in. Because what's going to happen? It removes you from the presence. Because he's going to work on that wound the whole time. If you are whole and people reject you, you start realizing it's not my pain, it's theirs. It's their pain. On this whole, I'm going to share a lot of testimonies just to give you an example. I was a people pleaser of van formaat. Oh my goodness. I think I got a platinum certificate in people pleasing. But what is people pleasing? It comes from a wound. I wasn't a peacemaker, I was a peacekeeper. The word says, blessed shall be the peacemaker, for they shall see God. A peacekeeper keeps the peace because they don't want to confront. A peacemaker makes the peace so they confront. So I was a peacekeeper, so I was a people pleaser. Ek wil almal net happy hou, want niemand moet my beklei nie, because then I experienced rejection. And I started working on these wounds, and I don't fast unless he tells me, and I fasted 3 days. And that's how strong, that stronghold of pleasing, of rejection and pleasing people. So I fasted for 3 days, just water. Michaela wasn't born yet, the kids were very small, so I asked the Oma to come and visit. Because I knew 3 days without water and raising children and homeschooling, dit gaan nie so lekker werk nie. So I closed myself during the day in the room, and on the 3rd day, oorgegaan. Just before the fast, I could break my fast. I was in my room worshiping, and there's a song that played, you were born to run with wild horses, you were born to fly with the eagles, and in our liedjie staan daar, come and break this man-pleasing spirit over me. And I'll never forget it. My hands was lifted and I felt how chains fell off my arms. And from that moment, a week after that, I had my first ladies' camp. There was a lot of resistance in the spirit. But there Abba released my voice. I'll share this with you. So we came to the ladies' camp the Friday night. And that whole camp was about repositioning is baie jare terug. And I wanted to start the Friday night with the blood offerings, the 7 blood offerings, the blood of Yeshua. And I started with the first one, and halfway in, I was said to me, keep quiet. And I'm like, and I tried again, and I heard him say, keep quiet. And I stopped, and I looked at the ladies like this, and a holy anger came over me, where afterwards I thought, oh my goodness, where I actually said to them, if you are here this weekend to have fun and to make jokes, then please go home. Dit was so, ek kan nie reis onthou nie, but I got angry in my spirit. And afterwards, a lady that was there was Roman Catholic. And she came to me, she said to me, my sis het vir my gesê, wat is jou in gevaar? But I wasn't a people pleaser. So I could deliver the message that Abba wanted to bring. If I was a people pleaser still and didn't deliver me, I wouldn't have been able for the Spirit to use me in such a correction manner. Because I would have been scared to offend the people. And this Roman Catholic lady came to me after that. She said, the moment you started, a cloud moved in. And I saw Yeshua. I heard your voice, but I saw Yeshua. I want to give my heart to him and I want to be baptized. Maar ek jaag hulle huis toe. Okay? The next morning, all the ladies were there. And then they came to testify one of the other. About 20 of the ladies that were there came to have a drinking weekend. So I didn't know that the Friday night. But the Spirit knew. And if I was a people pleaser, I would not have been able to hear his voice because he wanted to correct them and bring them into position because he wanted to work with them. All of them baptized that Sunday. All of them. But if I was a people pleaser because of wounds, I could not, it wasn't me, but I allowed him to heal me of rejection. So when you are especially called as a prophet, or you cannot be a people pleaser, because prophets need to bring correction. They need to speak, not just prophets, all of us. The bride's going to have the bride in wholeness will have to speak hard things. And the hard things is what sets the people free in the end. Not the soft, gooey stuffies. The hard truth klink nou erg nie, julle hoor wat ek sê. That perfect love in truth is what sets people free. So soul wounds keeps us in bondage. And every single one of us has them. Daar's niemand, jy kan nie met judgment na iemand anders kyk en dink, En dan die ander ding is, when you are whole, don't look down on others. Wat vir my moeilik is soms, maar dis nie meer moeilik nie. Especially this last 2 years, our trained me in a certain way, and I struggled at times where I will hear people's wounds cry out. And then I will try and tell them, kyk bietjie daarna, then people will take offense. But they took offense because it wasn't my time actually to speak. Okay, so today we're going to take you out of those places. So I will hear them. Sometimes it will be like a little girl crying out for attention. A little girl crying within this person. That's all I hear when I speak to this person. So it was my so moeilik geweest in the training season of that discernment that our gives. But I understand it's for now. Because He wants to heal the broken bride so that we can go out into the field and not be offended. Or in a place where the enemy can use certain things against you. Those legal rights. He can only attack you on your wounds. Dis die enigste plek wat hy kan gebruik. That's why he wants to inflict them. I'm going to share this. Jy moet net van die tyd dophou. I used to have a dream, because this is what Abba told me to pray for all of you today. I used to dream that I will chew on a chappy and it will become bitter in my mouth. And then I tried to take this thing out. But it felt like, as I tried to pull this thing out of my mouth, it was like tentacles that got stuck. Droom julle dit? Okay. Abba's going to heal and deliver you today. Hoor gou hier. En ek kry net hierdie goed uit my mond uit nie. En dan dink ek, verstaan, dit was in my season of healing. Bitterness, verstaan, wat is dit? And in that season of healing, I was sent a destiny helper, and she prayed for me out of the blue. She prayed for me, and she put her hand on my heart, and she prayed these words. She said, Abba, I pray that you will remove pain from the day of conception to this moment. That's all she prayed. I felt nothing at that moment, nothing. I went home, and that night I had a dream. I dreamed where I was walking, and then I sat with these people, and they were mocking and rejecting people that I knew. And then the dream ended where I sat on the bed with a certain person that really hurt me very deeply, a friend. And I looked at her in this dream, and I got up and I went to the basin. It's a place of deliverance, gewoon ek 'n badkamer so. And I threw up. And uit my mond out of me came this thing. I went to look for it. She says, anyway, this thing came out. After she prayed for me now, I had this dream with tentacles. And it lay in die wasbak. And Abba said to me, that's how deep pain is rooted. That's how deep it was rooted. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. And in that moment when I was ready for it, someone prayed that had the anointing that overcame it, and pain was healed and delivered. That was my last thing that I had to go, was pain. Pain makes you sick. Pain comes in through rejection, but it turns around in bitterness and hatred and stay away from me and these walls that we build. So He inflicts pain. But what did Yeshua endure on the cross? He endured pain. Wanneer jy seer kry, when you get hurt by the words of people, or a wound is inflicted, jy voel dit. Jy voel dit in jou gees, in jou menswees, you feel it. You feel that pain. But what have we been taught? I always say I'm allowed to feel all my feelings, but as long as I don't stay there. So I'm very verbal, I work with certain things. But the enemy wants to keep you in that space, because he knows as long as he can keep you in that space, he's got you. All we need to do is say, Abba, let your glory light come and shine on the pain that I carry. And He will use that for His glory and for your good. Because when you've overcome that, you have authority over that, and you can go back to the prison cells and help others. So niemand in hierdie vertrek is perfect nie. Elkeen wat hier sit, is of nog vasgevang in iets, or have been in a place of imprisonment. So from birth, the enemy will come and try and steal parts of you and put it in imprisonment. So you never come to the place of fullness, because parts of you are entrapped. Parts of you are in captivity. And those parts are being tortured all the time. So you can walk and smile, and you can sometimes even preach. You can do all these things, but you are broken. But it's not the real you. It's not the real you. When you are whole, your life will start not to offend people. Yes, those who are broken will be offended. Ek gaan nou met julle deur oor offense. Because truth will offend a broken spirit or a broken soul. Truth will offend it. It's not the whole part of that soul that's offended, it's the broken part that's offended. And the moment you are offended in that broken part, the enemy's got a stronger grip on you. Offense brings a stronger grip. But we're not taught these things. Ons word nie goed geleer nie. And we sometimes die and go to heaven. We go to heaven. I mean, if you've got soul wounds, you're not going to go to heaven. But you're not going to live in fullness on earth as it is in heaven. So what does soul wounds look like? Ek het nou hierso gisterand so 'n bietjie notas gemaak. Okay. Signs of soul wounds. Offense. If you take offense. Oomblik wat ek offense van, dan sê ek vir okay, waar kom hierdie vandaan? So sometimes, now you must listen to this, when you are whole, you can take offense, but it's not really offense, when someone is speaking against truth. That's not a soul wound. Okay, so ons moet mooi onderskei, waar is jy? That's taking offense because of the gospel. Offense is die regte woord. Maar julle hoor wat ek sê, don't stay in here the whole time. Ja, so it's not offense, okay? But offense keeps you in bondage. So someone will say, kom ons dink 'n bietjie, kom ons dink addiction. Someone will speak about addiction or whatever, and you will take offense. That part of you that's in addiction will take offense. Van wie dink jy is jy? Daai tipe van. So that offense is always taken, it's never given. It's not given. So a person that is whole, that speaks, and you take offense, you took it. The person didn't give it. Maak dit vir julle sin. And it's not the whole part of you that took offense, it's a broken part of you that took offense. Gaan vra vir Abba, why? Why am I broken? Want ons moet mooi gaan discern. Or is it a holy anger type of thing because lies are spoken type van ding? So jy moet mooi gaan discern, don't stay in there. Maar jy weet waar jy is. So you know where you are in your journey. The other one is intense emotions. Constant intense emotions. Like anger, outbursts, crying, extreme highs and lows, depression, daai intense emotions. Ek praat nie van iemand wat hartseer is en bietjie huil of iemand wat kwaad raak want verstaan ek praat nie van daai nie. Jy gaan weet. Those intense emotions, dan weet jy daar lê 'n soul wound. Cycles that keeps on repeating. Friendships that ends in shipwreck. Not always, sometimes there's discernment. Jy moet mooi hoor. Because there's seasons for all things. And sometimes it's because of soul wounds. Mense wat skei of sickness of certain cycles that keeps repeating. You don't have a voice. People pleaser. Where you try to keep the peace instead of making peace. So to keep the peace is not going to heal a relationship. You have to confront that thing. That's making peace. Verstaan net julle hom. So jy kan al klaar self en jouself identifiseer if there's still wounds. But Abba wants us to get done with that. When we come to salvation, soos daai image, die heel eerste image, hierdie skrif het vir my, it became alive to me when I started understanding the full picture. We confess with our mouths and believe in our hearts. Daar's twee kondisies. So a lot of people will confess with their mouths, their body, but they don't believe in their hearts, their spirit, and their heart is connected to the spirit and the mind to the body and the soul and all that. And then, because my question will always be, how can people come to salvation but they don't change? It wasn't a heart thing. So when we come to salvation, our spirit man receives his spirit. Remember, when we become one with Yeshua one day at the marriage supper, our spirits will become whole with him. So hoeveel van jou is al uitverkoop aan hom to become one with him? How much soul is still left and how much spirit is within you. So when we come to salvation, your spirit man receives salvation. But your soul needs to be transformed so that your body can come in line. So the soul needs healing and transformation. That's the old man, your own will, your own way, all these things. So that the body can come in line, that the three can become one. Ons is, maar julle hoor wat ek vir julle probeer sê. So that the fullness of who he is can start dwelling within us and upon us. En dis waar die bruid bietjie opgehou het. Wie van julle het al aan soul wounds gewerk? Wie van julle het nog nooit daarvan gehoor nie? Wie het nog nooit aandag daaraan gegee nie? Verstaan, dis waar die bruid stak geraak het, was in daai deel. The soul cannot be healed without the blood. That's why Yeshua had to come, to tear that veil, so that blood can flow, because the blood is what heals us. It's net sy bloed, and then the washing of the word. Dis net die woord, ek onthou het ek daarin en daar uit met die Bybel gesit. Daarin dan is my bladsye sopnat gehuil. Because the word is truth, it's spirit, and it heals, it corrects, it divides between soul and spirit. It's like a sharp two-edged sword. You cannot be made whole without the word. The word is Yeshua in a physical form. If we neglect time in the word, we're neglecting our healing process. Jy kan nie net na teachings luister nie. You can't. It's that person's revelation, and yes, the Spirit will teach you, but if you don't go to the word, Yeshua yourself, you're not going to walk in fullness. We need to dust off these words, this, and get it inside of us. There was a season for 6 years, I think, 50 jaar, where Abba said to Quentin and I, you don't go to church, you don't read books. Daar's baie boeke, en sê mense, hierdie boek. Nee, sorry, mag dit lees nie. Just the word, for 6 years. Just his word. En ek in die aande met hierdie Bybel op my gaan slaap het, oop, en dan sê ek, Abba, engrave your word. This word heals. With the Spirit, because you can do it in religion. It heals. It's alive. With the word, I had an encounter one day in the throne room where, because the word is alive, and like I say, Abba, give us experiential experiences, it can be for you as well. But if your soul is broken, you cannot see in the spirit. There's veils. Soul wounds put veils over our eyes. So I was in the throne room, and the 22 Hebrew alphabet letters, we tried to do Hebrew school at that stage. That's when I dreamed it. It didn't work, it's baie moeilik. Justin got it. Dan lees jy goed, ons ek in Quentin so sin, and the 22 letters were in front of the throne, and they were living beings. They were living beings, the Hebrew letters, the alphabet. And that's when I realized this word is alive. Yes, it's in English, but it came from Hebrew, all those Paleo-Hebrew, it came from that. They're living beings, the Hebrew letters. That's why when the word is read, and we used to listen to the word, that one CD in the car where they read the word, it felt like everything in you vibrates, because the word is alive. You cannot live without the word. You cannot. You will run dry. When I'm at my downest place in my flesh and in my soul, I force myself to read the word. Sometimes it will just be in and out. I think it goes in and out, but meantime it goes and lays in my soul, in my spirit. I force myself, I force the flesh to read the word. Even if I don't take it in, as jy hoor wat ek sê, I force myself, because I know this is life. This is life. Jy kan my kinders vra, ek sal heeltyd vir hulle sê, did you read your Bible? En hulle raak seker baie keer geïrriteerd met my. But that will stick. This word. Hoeveel keer kom ons in plekke, toe ek en Quentin nog baie bedien het voor ons 2 jaar gaan reis, then we'll ask them, who's got the Bible with them? Dan is niemand daar nie. Wie gaan check? Julle beter my gaan check. Go back and go and check what I said. Ek het een keer iets geteach, kom Justin en my sê, mama, dit wat jy daar gesê het, staan nie, wat jy het my gesê? Het iets my gesê van die woord. Ja, ek kan nie onthou nie, hy was bietjie jonger. So go and check for yourselves, go and check the word, don't just believe what people are saying. When it comes from their spirit, it will feed you, but the opinion comes in between. Even with my good, there will be an opinion sometimes out of the flesh. I pray always and I say, Abba, let it just be from your throne room. But there can come an opinion amongst it. Go and check the word for yourself. Pick up the word, read the word, it will heal you. Dit gaan nie altyd lekker wees because you have to face that pain. And I will know if you see the area where the enemy attacks you is the area you're going to have the most power and authority over. You will help others that's imprisoned in that area. And Abba sometimes allows it. He allowed it with Job because he knew that Job would overcome and that he would be able to use Job or us to go back and help others to get out. There are certain prisons that I can't go in. I don't have the keys for those prisons. I didn't overcome. And it's not my journey and my scroll to overcome certain things. But those prison cells that I've overcome in the spirit, I've got the keys. And I can help others. That's the keys of the kingdom. Geen van ons wat hier sit will have all the keys nie. We will have some keys. But together, we will have the keys of the kingdom. So iemand gaan nou kom and they might have the keys for addiction. And they're going to unlock. En dan stap jy aan 'n journey en daar's iemand anders wat die keys het vir abuse. Or molestation. Or pornography. Or whatever it is. And unlock. Or sometimes it's not even a person. It's a moment in your inner room through the word. And the Spirit comes and He heals. And He restores. And He sets you free. And you overcome. And He gives you the key. So every battle that we go through, every bad thing that happens to us, is not always bad. Julle hoor wat ek sê, it's bad, but it's not always for your destruction. Ja, kom ons sê dit so. The weapon was formed, but it didn't prosper. Out of that weapon that was formed, you received the key, because you overcame. So the enemy wanted to use that to destroy you, but Abba used that to help you to overcome, to give you a key. So there are many with you that's sitting here with keys of overcoming, and you're not using it. You're not using it. There are people that's imprisoned what you've already overcome, but you're not using it. And you don't always have to be in front of that person. There's many times where Abba will show me things in the night hour, and then He says, use your keys, unlock the door, bring them out. Bring them out. And then you'll start seeing change in that person's life, and they don't have a clue. They don't need to have a clue, because it's not about you. That place where you need recognition from people when you are whole disappears. That place where you want to be seen. We listened to a teaching of Kevin Zara yesterday where he said most prophets and apostles and people that are called don't want it. When I heard that Abba called me in that direction, I didn't want it. But He had a plan. And that's also a place where you have to come to say, okay, Abba, you've called me. I surrender. My flesh don't want it, but my spirit is willing to do what you've called me to do. Because you can stand that place also forever. So there's some of you today that you are called from the day that you were born. Oh no, even before that. All of us are called, but there's a specific purpose. And some of you are sitting saying, nah, And it's not to say that when you say yes, it's going to happen today. The moment you say yes to the call on your life, He starts working on your character. And then in that moment when it's your time, it will be like when Yeshua was baptized, where the voice from heaven will declare in the spiritual realm, this is my beloved daughter, this is my son, listen. Listen. So we have preparation seasons where people won't hear what you are saying. But then there will come a time when you are ready and Abba will declare in the heavenlies, listen. Listen to what she's saying. Because it's not her speaking or him speaking, it's my spirit. Listen. And then the enemy's got no hold. When you've overcome, okay, kom ons sê, David killed Goliath and he beheaded Goliath. Could Goliath stand up again in David's life? Did he have the trophy of his head? What you've overcome, you have authority over it. You have a key. You have the head of the enemy in that area. So it's time to chop off some heads. We cannot stay in defeat. We cannot stay in those places of captivity. Trauma, self-pity, all these things keeps us in that place. We cannot stay. We cannot stay there. We almost got stuck there. In this journey, not there exactly in soul wounds, but in a journey of transition. That's when Abba said Elijah come out of the cave. Elijah could have stayed in the cave and Jezebel would never have been overcome if he stayed in the cave. So we can also go through wilderness seasons where the enemy will try and inflict certain things, and you can also come to a place where you stay there and you don't move on. So there are some of you that's gone through a wilderness season, a winter season, and it's time to come out, blossom. That's our new fragrance. The Armando, what's it in Engels? Almonds. About a month ago, Abba said to me, release a new fragrance. It's time to blossom again. After winter comes blossoms. And yesterday, Anastasia sent us a message, a beautiful message. And she said, go out, blossom, live. Do what Abba has told you to do. It's time. So those are destiny helpers. Hulle is ons geestelike ouers. Those are destiny helpers that will come and say, come, you can do this. They can't do it for us. We must make that decision to do it. So it's time to come out of those places of captivity. It's time to move into the new open spaces. Do not let the enemy keep you in that place. It's not. Luister nou baie mooi vandag vir my. It is not Abba that put you in that place. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy because he knows what's on your life. But if you stay in that place, he has won. If you come out of that place, you gain victory, and you and Abba has won, and you receive a key to help others. Don't be ashamed of your testimony. I'm not ashamed of my testimony. I'm not ashamed of what I went through. The other day, we've got a Bible study in Oudtshoorn, and I said to them, when I look back on my life and all the bad things that happened to me, and believe me, it was bad, I will not choose to have anything removed if I have to do it all over again. Because every bad thing that happened to me, today I have authority over that. I came face to face with death, face to face, many times. I wanted to commit suicide. There were so many things. Abba never allowed it as a young girl, but I overcame it. So, death in spirit and in flesh. I once prayed for a dead doggy. The dead doggy didn't come alive, but I know one day we will raise the dead physically and spiritually. It's not always just a physical thing. What you overcome is what you have authority over. Let no person tell you differently. You know the journey that you've walked. You know the journey that you've walked. Ek weet nie wat jou naam nie, maar dit trek heel my aandag af, want Yeshua staan nou agter jou met die geel. Ja. So he is here. Dis kom ek die hele tyd vir julle kyk. So kyk nie vir julle nie. Because I can do nothing for you. Nothing. But he wants to set you free today. He wants to. And he is in this place. He's always with us, but sometimes he manifests in a different form, in a different way. And today it's in healing. And he wants to set the captives free. He's got all the keys. I have a few. But he's got all of them. His blood is the blood that set you free. Don't look at people. Don't look at people. And that journey, Abba had to teach me with my own children. When you see them go through things and you can do nothing but pray until it's his time. His time. He will always have us in the palm of his hands. But there's certain journeys that you cannot walk, not even for your children. And I take my job as a mother very seriously. You can ask them. Very seriously. Because that's my first call. When Abba sent me down to earth, he said, I'm going to give you those 3 children, and this and this and this and this is their calling. You love them. I will train them. So I can do nothing for you today, nothing. But a surrendered heart is what He's looking for. And He's going to take you out of those places of woundedness. And yes, for many today it will only be the start of a journey. For others, it will be the final of the journey. But you know where you are with Him. He's not just my Savior. He's your Savior. He's your Father. He died on the cross for each and every one of us, not just for me. If He could do it for me, He can do it for you. All you have to do is say, yes, Lord, here I am. So ek wil julle met julle oë toemaak, kan jy sê by my kom staan. Ek wil julle met julle oë toemaak, and I'm going to pray, but it's not me. Listen to His voice. En ek wil ons net lekker worship musiek speel. En as ek ophou bid, moenie dink is verby nie. You focus on Him. Julle kan nie vandag hier uitstap. Julle kan nie vandag hier uitstap. Still trapped in certain places. Julle kan nie. And Abba, I want to bring every family member that is represented yet, every mother crying out for her children, for her husband, for a mother's father, every family member that is represented here today, Yeshua, wherever they are, your Spirit is omnipresent. You can touch them. Yeshua, I pray that you will complete the work that you've started in each and every one of us today. Yeshua, we honor you, we glorify you, we magnify you. We thank you for your blood. We thank you for what you have done on the cross for us. Yeshua, it's only your blood. It's only your blood. Yeshua, I want to pray for every soul that is entrapped, every soul that is inflicted with pain, every wound, Abba, Yeshua, you see it all, you know it all. It's just one touch. It's just one touch. Now I pray that today, Yeshua, you will not leave until you've touched every person in this place, even if we have to stay here. Let your healing flow, that perfect love that casts out all fear, that perfect love. Abba, by faith today we come with you and we unlock those doors of captivity and we declare that the gates of hell shall no longer prevail against your children. Abba, even in their physical bodies they will have undergone a change where people will say, what happened to you? Yeshua touched me. But from the day that they were conceived, all of us, from the day that we were conceived to this very moment in time, I pray that you will touch those deep levels of pain and rejection, fear, addiction, the opinions of man that's hanging around them, Father, that's echoing in their minds and in their ears, the false mantles that they carry. Yeshua, I pray that you will come today and you will set us free so that we can be clothed in your fullness. Father, every mantle that is not of you, every false identity that we carry, every belief system that was formed in our minds, today in your presence, I pray that it will just shatter and fall to the ground. For what can stand in your presence, Father? Yeshua, what? What can stand in your presence? Yeshua, we humble our hearts before you. And as you are walking through this room, I pray that you will touch and unlock with the keys of the kingdom. Bring them out, Abba. Bring us out into fullness. Bring us out into fullness. Abba, I declare that we have the mind of Christ Yeshua. Transform our minds, Father. Deposit within us the seeds of your kingdom, Yeshua. Fill every empty space that you are healing and delivering today with the presence and the seeds of your kingdom, Father. Let your kingdom come in our lives, Father, on earth as it is in heaven. Your kingdom is all we seek. And Abba, by faith today, Yeshua, with you, we unlock these spiritual identities. We unlock what is written in these scrolls, in our scrolls. Yeshua, who is worthy to open up the scroll? It's only you. And I pray that today you will open up our scrolls, and that heaven will read out loud what is written in our scrolls and declare it over our lives. And nothing underneath the earth, on the earth, no evil, no person, no demon, no principality, no power can stop what you have declared and written over our lives. Yeshua, in your name today, by faith, we declare that we are stepping out of those places of bondage. Yeshua, I pray that you will remove shame. Shame, you are a liar. You are a liar. We come as sinners before you, Father, and by the blood of Yeshua, you remove shame. We don't have to be ashamed for what we have done. We just come with repentant hearts and say, Abba, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. For my flesh was weak in that moment. And instead of shame, Father, you clothe us with joy. You clothe us with your righteousness. You clothe us with your humbleness. You clothe us with the fullness of your Spirit. Yeshua, remove from us. Like Joseph, his robe was torn. Remove those torn robes from us, Abba, and clothe each and every one individually, Yeshua, with their robe, their identity in you, their purpose in you. Father, like never before, Yeshua, we will walk out of here knowing what we are called for and who we are individually. Like never before. And in boldness and confidence and courage we will stand in that. No matter what the voices of people will come and say. No matter what the enemy will try and whisper in our ears. Every false belief system that is within us and in our minds of the lies of the enemy is broken. It's broken. What can stand in your presence but your perfect love for each and every one of us? Your love, your blood, and your word is what heals and sets us free. Thank you, Yeshua. Thank you, Yeshua. Thank you for your healing and your deliverance. Thank you that you fill every hungry heart and thirsty spirit with your living waters today. We will forever be changed. And may we testify of our present seasons, and may we not be ashamed of that, Father. For so long the church has tried to put shame on us for the bad things that we've done when we weren't in a good place. But those bad things is our testimony of your goodness, of your blood. And there are people that's sitting in bondage because we are too scared to testify of the bad things that we've done and been involved in. But our testimony of overcoming will set others free. May we never forget where we came from. And may we always have that courage to go back and help others come out of those places. Yeshua, we give you all the honor and the glory. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for what you have done today and for what you are still going to do in the lives of your people, in our lives. Be glorified. Yeshua, take back your rightful position. And as you unlock our spiritual identities today, you take your position within us, and we in you, for we are seated in heavenly places. And may we start to operate from those places, not a place of defeat, but from a place of victory. Because in you and through you, we overcome. You were in this world, but you overcame this world. And through you, we overcome. Raise up your mighty army. Raise up your army, Yeshua. I'm just going to share what I see, and no one is untouched in this place, but Yeshua's smiling. It is time. Don't go back to that place, except to help others. Except to help others. Amen.
I saw two things. As I was pondering on the scripture, Isaiah 22:22, where our Father says He gives us the keys of David, places the keys upon our shoulder. Okay, let's just stop there. What does it mean? And He took me to an army, and He showed that the general, commandant, sergeant, they get rank on the shoulder. They get rank, they get authority for going through certain phases He had to build them up. So the keys of David are given to you through the authority that you carry for what you have been through. Then you go and execute on the area of authority you are going. Does that make sense? So just as Linda was sharing, that what you have gone through is there to help others, because you carry the strength of what you've overcome to give it the authority. He doesn't give the keys to somebody who doesn't carry that authority. Your keys are effective to unlock that gate when you have that authority. So we must not think that you're going to go and open and loose and close and lock and slam and do more work. No games. No games. But an army that our Father is raising up is those that are going to stand up in authority and in victory, that have gone through the school of training of life with His Spirit. So He showed me this army, and today there's an army before Him that are bearing the stripes of authority to lock the plans of the enemy and to unlock the perfect will and destiny of the Father in the scroll. Amen. Then I saw a second thing, and I was looking at this picture. That doesn't look like a prison. Does that look like a prison? It looks like a cage. And many of you thought that you were imprisoned, locked up, and the keys were thrown away. You see the dark mesh. You can probably push it over. You can probably just move it out of the way. Or we can trust, like today, the destiny helpers that others put on your path to come and take you by the hand and say, no, not this way. Let's go this way. Walk straight out. And that has happened today. Many of us saw a vision just now of a rat in a cage. And he didn't say veliki because he knows nothing else. But the cage is open. But the rat will always go back to what he knows. Veliki, Kolshara is. He's actually free. And that's what the Holy Spirit has done today. It's revealed to you to step out of the muck, of that trauma, of that shame, of that guilt, of that condemnation that you placed upon yourself. Step out of that. Step out of the old ways. Step out of the old way of thinking in your mind. Step out of it. Allow Him to transform you. You don't have to go back to the veliki. And also, we're in this rat race. En ons jag ons eie sterkte met die hok. You're supposed to be free. So I declare liberty and freedom over every single one of us here today by His Spirit. But I want you all to do a prophetic action. Can we stand? It's easy for you to believe in your heart that you've got all of this. But there's an action required to step into it. Do you believe me when I say that? Like Linda shared earlier, God revealed certain things, but then you've got to go and do those things. So if you believe with me today, and I believe you do, let's take a step out of that entrapment, out of that cage, out of the old and into the new. And I know logistics, it doesn't seem right. And I asked our Father, how are we going to do this? I think all we need to do is prophetically today. Those on this side take a step this way, those on that side take a step that way. Just a small step. And action your release. We step out of the cage of bondage today into freedom.
Step net vorentoe.
And that's how it always moves. You released.